So we've been taking a look at the history panel, learning about a lot of the different options that we have available to us inside the history panel. We just finished off by creating some additional documents based off of the various history states. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to close out of these files. We actually don't need them. And if you get prompted to save the file, just say don't save. We don't need these guys. So let's go all the way back to where you and I started, all the way back here. Okay, there's all of the history states as I see them inside the history panel. This is inside barn2.jpg for me, of course. So I want to show you something that's related to undoing, related to history, but not directly related to the history panel. And this is reverting. So in other words, what I can do at any point in time, if I'm dissatisfied with my work, if I'm not happy with how things are moving along here, I can always take my document all the way back to the last time that I saved. Now, what I could do is I could head to the File menu to achieve this and go all the way down to Revert, all right? So in other words, if I'm working along inside Photoshop and I save my document, and then let's say I apply 2 or 3 more steps onto my document. Maybe I'm applying effects or adding in some text or whatever. I'm not happy with those additional steps. I could just head to the File menu and then down to Revert, and that will take me back to the last time that I saved. So now in this situation, when I choose File Revert, he's going to take me all the way back to where you and I began with this file not too long ago. So you can choose File Revert, or I always use the keyboard shortcut because it's easy to remember, F12. Now Mac users, you may have to reassign F12 inside your system preferences, but here what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit F12 on my keyboard, and basically what Photoshop does is the equivalent of you and I closing the file without saving it when we're prompted and then reopening the file. Okay? But what's cool about this is it's actually saved as a history state, as you can see inside the history panel. If you and I were to actually close the file literally and choose don't save when we're prompted to save and then reopen the file, it wouldn't save the history inside the history panel. Okay, so keep that in mind. So in other words, what I can do here is I can revert, and then I go, I want to undo my revert. How do I do that? Well, again, I can literally step back in time using the history panel, forwards or backwards, of course. So the revert command is very, very handy. I use it a lot. Sometimes what I'll do, to give you an idea, is I might use them in a situation where I want to try an effect, or I want to try applying some kind of a technique to my image, but I'm not sure, I'm not convinced that I'm going to like the effect. So what I'll do is I'll take my photo or my image that I'm working on, I'll save it, knowing that I can always revert after I save it. So I save them up, and then I try the effect. And if I like the effect, if I'm happy with it, then I'll keep working. I'll save the file and then continue on. If I'm dissatisfied, then I just hit F12 on my keyboard, and I'll revert the file, of course, and then maybe I'll try something else. Okay, so there you go, reverting your file, either F12 on your keyboard or, of course, from your File menu all the way down to Revert.